Welcome to the Evalesco Healthy, Wealthy and Happy podcast. The information provided on and made available through this video and podcast does not constitute as financial product advice. The information is of a general nature only and does not take into account your individual objectives, financial situation or needs. It should not be used, relied upon or treated as a substitute for specific professional advice. We recommend that you obtain your own independent professional advice before making any decisions in relation to your particular requirements or circumstances.
Welcome to the Evalesco Healthy, Wealthy and Happy podcast. My name is Jeff and I'm your host today, and I'm very pleased to welcome back for the second time, I think it is, maybe third time, Melody Edwards, Senior Advisor and Aged Care Specialist in the Evalesco team. Welcome back, Mel.
Thanks for having me again.
It's our pleasure. So as we always do, we normally ask what you do to be healthy and happy, but given you've been here before, what's new and exciting in your healthy and happy world now?
So mostly getting into baking with the girls. They're really keen on helping out in the kitchen now more, which is good. So we have fun on the weekends, just making lots of treats for them.
Yeah. Any winners?
Cupcakes all the way.
Cupcake?
Lots of icing.
Pink icing?
Rainbow, actually.
Rainbow? Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
So developing a lot of skills in that area.
Excellent. So today's, I guess, wealthy topic we're talking about is a very topical one. It's aged care. So it's something that is, again, in the news fairly frequently, something that is quite a confronting area for many people. It's something that we're seeing more demand for from our client base for assistance in this area, and an area that you're our resident expert in. So I think to start the conversation, where do people normally start talking or thinking about aged care, and maybe where should they?
So where they normally find this comes up is a trigger event such as a fall or health condition that triggers off decline in the ability of the person being able to stay independently in their home. So usually a trip to hospital, and then the doctors assess that we can't actually release them back home, and they'll need full-time care. And that's typically when most people start then thinking a lot about aged care and what they need to do.
And that's inevitably a very stressful time and really hard time in making clear and calculated decisions.
That's right, yep. There's a lot of emotional weight to it, that typically both from the person receiving care and the people who are charged with looking, finding the solutions for meeting those needs.
And how does that often usually look?
So typically it's either a healthy spouse who's no longer able to care for the person, or kids who typically end up taking over and figuring out what's next. So whether, and through varying stages as well of how involved they've been up to that point.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting, isn't it, within our client base, which kind of do have, both of those scenarios where it's sometimes the children of elderly people are our clients, so they're people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and we've been working with them on their own retirement planning, and then they realise that they need to provide some support. Or we do have elderly clients as well that are now starting to reach the ages where this is becoming more topical.
That's right, yeah.
So I cut you off to answer the second part of the question, was when do you recommend people should start having these conversations? How should they deal with it?
Definitely having been through a few of the more let's say high pressure decision making points. It is the sooner that you can have that conversation, the better, especially with the person who is receiving care. So you have a really good understanding of what is it that they would like ideally, and also how does it impact everyone involved? How having that open conversation means there's less stress for the person who ends up having to make the decision as to what's going to be the best option, because there is a variety of as with anything regarding financial affairs, a variety of solutions that could work. So being able to understand, and engage the person with care before they decline to that point just makes the whole process a lot easier for everyone involved, and also then that the decision makers can be more confident in that the decision is reflective of their, the wishes of the person receiving care.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the things, some of the questions, or some of the areas that you recommend should be discussed if you can get onto it early?
So as a starting point, what they would like to, how they would like to receive care, if staying at home as long as possible is a priority of theirs. So how can we enable that to happen? Also, if it does decline to a point that they do need more care, is it an option to potentially move in with kids? Is that something that they find as a priority that the kids want to do, or whether the person receiving care themselves would like? And then moving on to the eventual, if they do need full-time care, what is it that ideally they would like to happen, and how would that look for them? Yeah,
I think that's really good. A couple of steps to lay out, because I think a lot of times in the past there's been a real stigma around aged care. People think it's all about shipping somebody off to an old person's home, and I think that may be a solution. And I wouldn't say ship them off to an old person's home anymore, but be a bit more delicate around that. But that may be a solution. But there's also other things that can be done before then. And I think you touched on staying in your home and receiving some support. So what have you seen in that space, and how could that potentially work?
So that would potentially be getting help in maintaining the home if the home becomes too much, to helping them socialise or go shopping, do things that would relieve the stress of maintenance on a regular basis, to allow them to then just focus on themselves and their care, personal care, give them still a bit of independence, and allow them to continue to live the life as they have previously, and getting support financially from that perspective in the government home care packages. So those are assessed based on your care needs, and then you can determine which services are going to fit in with what you need. And you can supplement them if you have the means financially as well. So at this stage though, because of the long wait periods, predominantly due to resourcing and actually finding the carers, the sooner that you get in the system and in the wait list, the more options you'll have when you eventually do need care, rather than being forced then to jump straight to residential aged care and moving into a home. So that's I'd recommend getting into that sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I think that's a really good option. It's a stepping stone potentially, and I think you've done it the right way, you can potentially ward off or prolong the time staying in the home, and push out the time where you need more full-time care.
That's right.
So my key takeaway is start the conversation early. It is a challenging conversation, but you're better off to have it when everybody's in a healthy and happy spot. In wrapping up, what other sort of key tips what other comments would you like to make?
I suppose, if in the absence of having that conversation, you find you're in the second scenario where you're forced to make a decision due to immediate need, such as a fall or health decline. I know a lot of people get pressured, especially from aged care homes, from doctors in hospitals for discharge, to make a decision. It is, while there are time pressures, it's not always urgent to get all your ducks lined up in a row from day one. So, but definitely having a conversation with someone to get some initial advice to set yourself up so that you can get things in order in a way that's not going to negatively impact the carer, the person receiving care financially. Give yourself a little bit of breathing space, I think is always good, because there's a lot of decisions to make, and you're not, being under pressure and making decisions through that can I suppose not necessarily be the best outcome for everybody. So just know that you do have options, and it's about I suppose putting the person receiving care number one, and then you can work through what the financial the outcomes and decisions will be from there.
Yep.
Yeah.
My solution to all of this is every time it comes up just to call Mel, so I can recommend that as a solution to you at home as well. Any questions you have early in the process, or as Mel said, if it becomes urgent, then please call out to us, to your advisor, and then your advisor will probably call Mel, and we're here to help in that regard. So thank you for sharing your expertise, Mel, and thank you for all your help with our clients in this regard. And everybody at home, have a healthy, wealthy and happy day.
Thanks for tuning in to the Evalesco Healthy, Wealthy and Happy podcast. If you would like to learn more about anything you've heard in this episode, please give us a call on 02 9232 6800 or email admin@evalesco.com.au. Make sure to subscribe to our channel for more Evalesco podcast episodes and stay up to date by following us on Instagram and Facebook.